Woohoo! I'm trying to center myself here. Oh my goodness. Today is going to be a good day. Tonight, I guess, daytime if you're on the other side of the country or the world, sorry, the earth. Don't get me started. Okay, we're going to talk about what should you take to confession. There is this incredible list of things that you should listen to, well, read. Where's my mind today? That you should read and write down a bunch of stuff that you think you've done. I mean, I can't even tell you. It is so good. It's long, so I want everyone to grab a pen and some paper or use the note thing in your phone because we are going to get deep in all of the things that we should take to confession. Before we get started there, though, I did want to throw this one out to you guys. So, when you decide to make a change and you have an accountability partner or you have just someone who might be making that change themselves or a different change, the change that you need to make. I have realized that with hyperthyroidism, not only do I have a inflamed thyroid, but one of the side effects is all of your muscles just atrophying away. And when you want to work out, you don't have the energy to work out. So I was talking to my mom and she was saying that, why don't you just take it slow? So yesterday I did Pilates. What I want to throw out there to you all, since we get here every Monday at 6:30, does it make sense for us to just share, like in a comment, what we want to change? And then every Monday, we kind of kick it off with, how was the week? Was it good? Was it bad? Not bad. Nothing's ever bad as long as we get back up and try to do it again. So what are your thoughts on that? I just thought it would be kind of cool. I'm throwing mine out there. Mine is working out and building muscle, whether I want to or not. Hey, Laura. Oh, Kendra, great topic. I know you guys can see, but I got to make her bigger. Great topic. Hi, Kendra and everyone. Sorry. Sounds like a great topic of discussion this evening. Yes. It's going to be amazing. And I have my phone here so that I could see comments and stuff. So that I know when you kind of jump up, because I want you, Laura, seriously, like grab, do you have a different call sign? I don't remember it being TQ, 3Q, XQ or whatever. It's different. I'm thinking it's new or unique or something like that. Anyway, digressing back, grab a pen, paper, your phone, and your notepad because we are going to dive in deep. Okay, let me just make sure. This is my screensaver. Not sure how I got that. Oh, that's interesting because I don't remember that being there the last time. Strange. Okay, so first of all, you should go through this. You can find this at bulldogcatholic.org. So go to bulldogcatholic.org if you don't, if we're rushing through this a little fast, and go through it, write your notes and take them in, because there's a lot that you're going to be like, oh, I do that. I need to take that in. Okay, so, and, I've heard priests, like online and in person, that are just like, don't tell me the story. Don't give me, a long story of how good you are and how this happened. You're supposed to go in with the sin and how many times you did it, pretty much. Like, I'm sure they hear people whining and telling stories and all that stuff for so long. So I'm sure it's kind of annoying. All right. So you want to take in your venial sins and your mortal sins. What are mortal sins? They are full knowledge. Like, that the act or the omission, like some sins can be you not doing something. not always you doing something, that was contrary to God's will, it was sinful, and it is possessed by you, the offender. So, in other words, you totally know this is wrong. Number two, full consent. So you intentionally do this sin, fully knowledgeable about it. You're not being forced to do it. You're not under the influence of something, which there are some people that may say, well, it was because I was drunk that I did this. Well, drunkenness is also a sin. So confess them both. And then grave matter. So it's anything under the 10 commandments and the precepts of the church. So it's kind of like you have to, but he uses the example of, not to belabor the point, but there's a difference in grave matter between stealing $10 from a friend and stealing $10,000 from an orphanage. Oh, good, Karen, you're putting it out there. Mental prayer first thing every day and workouts 5 times a week. Hi, Kendra and friends. So cool. Okay, so mine is at least 3 days a week. So if you listen to my podcast, which is on Spotify, and it also comes over here to YouTube, I said in my video today to the membership group, I think, that I was going to work out today and use this like Pilates bar thing that I have with bands and like little holes at the bottom that you put your feet in and stuff. I am so sore just from one 30-minute Pilates workout. This just goes to show you how out of shape I am. So I am taking one day. I at least want to do 4 days a week, not 3, 4 days a week. But in the beginning, I have to let my body just heal before I push it too much. Okay. Oh, it's right here at my foot. You're such a good girl, baby. You're such a good girl. Okay. So if any of these 3 conditions are not met, the sin will be known as venial. It's a very good idea to confess venial sins as well, since these sins, like all sin, offend God, who deserves all our love. Confessing venial sins helps us to be more sensitive to God and more faithful in our love to him. Okay. Now we're going to go commandment by commandment. Get your pens ready. Click them on if they're one of those. The first commandment, I am the Lord your God. You shall worship the Lord your God, and him only shall you serve. No crystals, no moons, no witchcraft, no idols like this. Don't be worshiping your phone and making that take you away from your prayer time with your relationship with God. Anything that you can idolize your job, where you're just not even thinking of God. So here we go. Have I reserved or harbored hatred for God? Have I disobeyed the commandments of God or the church? Have I refused to accept what God has revealed as true or what the Catholic Church proclaims for belief? Have I denied the existence of God? Have I neglected to nourish and protect my faith? Neglecting and not nourishing your faith means you're not praying, you're maybe not going to Mass, or you just go to Mass because it's an obligatory thing that you have to do, but you're not paying any attention. You don't want to be there. You're all distracted. Have I neglected to reject everything opposed to a sound faith? Interesting. Have I neglected to reject everything opposed to a sound faith? Could be the phone. It could be your Netflix stuff. It could be drinking. It could be drugs. It could be pornography, those types of things. Have I deliberately misled others about doctrine or the faith? Have I rejected the Catholic faith, joined another Christian denomination, or joined or practiced another religion? Have I joined a group forbidden to Catholics, like the Masons, Freemasons, communists, etc.? Have I despaired about my salvation or the forgiveness of my sins? That's one. Some of you may be thinking, God's never going to forgive this. Or maybe you even go to confession, you get absolved from your sins, and then you still feel like God didn't forgive you. I think about this like when, when like you forgive someone and maybe it's a friend of yours and they're just constantly saying like, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. And after a while, you're like, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. And then it gets to the point where you're like, it's okay, I've forgiven you, I've let it go. Like this is us sometimes with God. All right. Have I presumed God's mercy, committing a sin in expectation of forgiveness, or no barking today? I'm going to hold on to this for a while. Hang on. No bark, honey. Okay. Have you presumed God's mercy, committing a sin in expectation of forgiveness, or asking for forgiveness without interior conversion, or practicing virtues? A lot of these I'm going to talk about with myself here. So yeah, I have gone to confession with my mind saying, I'm probably going to do this again, just in order to receive Jesus at Mass. I have also done something against God knowingly and thinking I'll go to confession tomorrow. That's also a sin of presumption, that I'm assuming that I'm going to be alive to go to confession. And that my confession is valid because I truly want to change. I'm trying to practice virtue. I'm working on my interior conversion. When you get that guilt if you've drank too much, or you get that guilt when you've acted in a mean way to someone, not very caring or charitable. Okay, have I loved someone or something more than God? Forgot about this one. Money, power, sex, ambition, etc. I have to go there with my retreat homes. I could have chosen to keep my money and to retire and not have to worry about anything. Instead, I chose to do what God asked me to do in prayer so many times that I tried to negotiate. No, like, you don't really want me to do this, do you? Like thousands of times. And gosh, how could I look at God and say no? Even though the scariest thing was to spend all this money on building the retreat and the chapel and the paths and the pond and the fire pit and the pool. The pool was actually built for the retreat home, but I get to use that, because it's right over there. Okay. Have I let someone or something influence my choices more than God? Have you let your friends talk you into drinking? Have you, when you're trying not to drink, are you out with people and your friends are coaxing you to have that cake, but you are trying to not be gluttonous because you're not hungry at all, you don't even want it, but you feel kind of like, yeah, you got to have it. In some cases, I hate to say it this way, but in some cases, it's who you hang around with who are not being good influences on you, that you might have to, think about that, pray about that, and think, is this person really good for me? And in other cases, you could say, well, I want to be in this person's life because I want to bring Jesus to them. I don't want to abandon them. Sorry. So in the end, you have to make that decision with all of your friends, but some of us do have friends that are just not good influences on us or family members. Excuse me. Okay. Have I engaged in superstitious practices, including horoscopes, fortune tellers, palm readers, anything that is astrology, like anything that is trying to predict the future when we know that God is the only one. I thought it was harmless to watch horoscopes. I did watch horoscopes, read horoscopes. I looked for them every day back in the day, and if you're looking at a crystal and you're praying over it and you're, asking for energy and stuff, that is not God. The Holy Spirit is where you get that energy. Can you bring it here? Can you bring it here? Come here. I don't know where I'm getting this phlegm from. Okay, have I been involved in the occult or occult practices? Seances, Ouija board, worship of Satan, and it could be Harry Potter, or that's a big issue. Some of you may be like, no, like just take it to confession that you were reading Harry Potter, or you watched, is there a movie? I think there's a Harry Potter movie, I think. Take it in and don't watch it anymore. There are legit, real spells in that movie. Trying to think of other occult practices. Again, like, you might have a crystal that someone gave you. First of all, just be very careful with anything that anyone gives you. Take it in, have it blessed, because you just don't know. You should also have your food blessed, especially when you're eating out. You have no idea what people might be doing in the back of that restaurant to your food. They may be completely, ticked off. So at the end of the day, your vibration and how you feel goes into your food. I think I've mentioned this before, when you could talk to a glass of water and say, I love you, thank you for nourishing me, and then talk to another glass of water and say, I hate you, you've done nothing for me. Your words impact those two glasses of water when they freeze it in a special way, and then they put, you can see it's all beautiful and, snowflakes and, what's the word I'm looking for? They're like synchronized, beautiful patterns. And then over here on the water that you said you hated, it's so ugly, it's jagged. I mean, you can look at the two and see a completely different impact on just what you said to them. Water is intelligent. So if you've got someone in the back, just fighting with their wife and they're cooking your food and they're all ticked off, that's coming to your plate. You're going to ingest that food. So bless it. It's not just bless me, O Lord, for these thy gifts as we are about to receive from the bounty through Christ our Lord. Amen. It is truly cleansing any bad mojo or vibe that you have on there. When you have water, always talk to it. Sounds crazy, but it's true. Oh, Harry Potter, I hear you. How do we bless our food at restaurants? So you could just, put your hands over it and you can say, in the name of Jesus Christ, I ask him to pour his precious blood over this. Any evil spirits or, negative vibes that have been over this food, I cast you out. You can ask Mary to pour her, to put her mantle over the food. Just cast out anything. Ask Jesus to pour his precious blood over it. And anything that's there can go away. Now you can also talk goodness to your food. Thank you, food, because most stuff has water in it. Vegetables, even if they're cooked, meat, there's an amount of water in this stuff that we're eating all the time. Everything has water. And you can just say, please nourish me. Thank you so much for being available to me. Thank you, Lord, that I can eat this. I mean, talk to both God and your food at the same time. Another reason not to eat out. I am so with you. I can't even remember the last time I ate out. And I think that it was probably when my brother was here. We, no, we're good. I'm just trying to think. What did we have? Nope, we ate everything here. Even when you buy stuff from the grocery store, maybe you're buying some chicken salad or something, pray over that too, because you just never know. You should pray over everything, as you're putting your food away, just, do all of those prayers, because again, you don't know whose hands have touched it, if they put any curses on it, that type of stuff. I know it's like maybe being a little overzealous about it, but why not? The last time I went out was with my brother, and I could see the guy making the food. Now, he wasn't swearing or doing anything obnoxious, but I do bless myself for the food, but better to pour Jesus's blood over it. I know it might be mentally weird, like, okay, there's blood all over my food, but you know what I'm getting at. Oh, shoot, my phone went to sleep. Hold on. Okay, there we go. Okay. Have I formally attempted to leave the Catholic Church? Have I hidden a serious sin or told a lie in confession? Or to anyone else, really. Sometimes we think that those little white lies don't mean anything. Take them in, take every single one in, and never hide your sins. I don't care if you got to run in your car for an hour and a half to go to a totally different parish, to go to a different priest. Just do it. Make sure that you say everything, no matter how embarrassing it is. Man, in the beginning of my journey, I was just constantly going back and back and back. Totally embarrassed. Okay, the second commandment. You shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain. Have I used the name of God in cursing or blasphemy? A lot of people go, JC. Like, I know someone who says it all the time. He's getting better at it because I think his girlfriend's telling him, but would say JC. It was like the F-bomb for everything. It was an expletive. It was a good thing. It was, a bad thing. It was, I'm so frustrated. Like, if you have people next to you or in your family that say that, or, oh my God, just say a prayer after it. May he bless us. Something simple like that. Or JC, Son of the living God. Finish it for them in a prayer. They'll get the gist, hopefully. Okay, let's do another one. Have I failed to keep vows, promises, or resolutions that I have made to God? Specifically, the confessional. In the confessional, which one, the priest has authority to remove the obligations of promises and resolutions if they are too harsh or unjust. Let me say that again. Have I failed to keep vows, promises, or resolutions that I have made to God? Oh, specify, not specifically. That's why I wanted to read it again, because it didn't make sense to me. Specify in the confessional which one. The priest has the authority to remove the obligations of promises and resolutions if they are too harsh or unjust. So if you're giving yourself your own penance, maybe, in the confessional, you can run those by the priest. And I think some of you have heard this, but I did this for my members. I went to a different priest for confession, and I thought it was going to be this one priest who's a little bit harsh, but it was a different priest. And he was so kind and sweet. It just reminded me of God's love for me. It reminded me that that's Jesus that I'm talking to on the other side of the screen, that he loves me so much. He's so happy that I am here to clean my soul. How many times do we go to confession like it's a duty, we don't want to, we're feeling guilty. And yet at the same time, we could be thinking about it as God loves me so much. He loves me no matter what, right? No matter what we do. But we know in our hearts, in our souls, when we do things that are not according to God's will, we have that spiritual guilt, which is good, which is what gets us back to confession. So think about the love that God has for you. Have I spoken about the faith, the church, the saints, or sacred things with irreverence, hatred, or defiance? Have I watched television or movies or listened to music that treated God, the church, the saints, or sacred things irreverently? I don't even watch TV anymore. I have YouTube Live that I pay for when people come here and they want to watch something a lot like live. I should probably cancel that because you know what? They could always project onto my phone, right? If they have like some sort of system that they work with. You're such a good girl. You're so tired. She had a long day. I don't watch anything. I mean, I remember when my husband, you guys know that show, 2.5 Men? And that was like a thing that we watched all the time. And then I just heard God, telling me, because it's just so raunchy, so bad. Funny, but but not the kind of humor that I like watch anymore. So there is like, I think the last movie I watched was The Passion of the Christ. All I do is watch YouTube videos. Thank God for that, because I don't even know. Half the time people are like, "Oh, have you seen Stranger Things?" I'm like, have no idea what you're even talking about. I don't have Netflix, so just be careful. And the music. I was a rocker, my friends. I was a hard rocker. I was like, I don't even know what they called it. It wasn't classic rock, but it was like the new rock. Creed was in there. But I don't even remember any of the bands. I don't listen to that anymore. I mean, I'm so boring. But I'm boring because I'm actually protecting my soul. I don't want anything coming in. You can watch something on the TV and it will come into, you have given it permission because you turned it on. I don't like horror films, never have, so just be aware of that. Laura, when someone says JC, I respond, have mercy on us. That's a good one. I like that. All right. Have I used vulgar, suggestive, or obscene speech? This was me too. I was so raunchy. I hung out with the guys. I was the guys' gal, used the language, told the dirty jokes. I mean, the real dirty jokes that made guys blush. My mouth was just so vulgar. And we just have to be aware of that. Sometimes I hang around with some people that, I know I feel comfortable with, and I might slip up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, where did that come from? They're like, it's me. I'm like, no, 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 no. I can control my tongue, my speech. Do you guys ever have that? I don't know if you guys do or not. It's not often, but when it happens, I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I swearing for? All right. Have I belittled? Have I belittled others in my speech? Have I behaved disrespectfully in the church building? Okay, let me go back to belittled others in my speech. Gossip. It's the last snare of the devil. And it doesn't count. It doesn't count, excuse me, when you say, well, I don't really want to gossip. This isn't really gossip, but blah, 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 blah. Like we're belittling people by talking behind their backs. And the best way that we can stop that is just to step up and be like, you know what? I wouldn't want anyone talking behind my back. So I don't really feel comfortable doing this. It's what a lot of friends do when they get together. So be careful of that. Have I behaved disrespectfully in the church building? For example, talking immoderately in church before, during, or after Holy Mass? Do you know some of those people that come in and they don't use their inside voice and they're just rah, 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 like makes the person turn and look like who is speaking? Don't be that person. Be reverent, no matter if your church, because I've been to churches that are like loud as like a party before Mass and after Mass. But really, like, do your best to just stay and pray afterwards. Just kneel and be quiet. And, it's kind of like common courtesy to all the people that are around you. Have I misused places or things set apart for the worship of God? Have I committed perjury, breaking an oath, or lying under oath? Have I blamed God for my failings? All right, third commandment. Gonna throw this one to her. Oh. I need a drink. Mountain Valley, sparkling water. It's not much sparkling in here. It's not as fizzy as I like. Kind of. Laura, you're on fire here. Love it. Better to be boring and not. Hey, hey, hey. You know this is why. I don't know if you can see me get up. I have to lean on things. This is how weak my muscles are. Wait. Okay, what is this? Detraction. Was that from us being a detraction? What did you mean? Come back on that. Okay, the third commandment. Remember to keep holy the Sabbath day. Have I missed Mass on Sunday or holy days through my own fault without sufficient reason? That's a tough one, because I've been sick before for, right like the day before or before Mass, and I could go. Might be a cold, I could go. But then there's another part of me that's like, well, I don't want to get other people sick. So you really have to pray through it. And my honest opinion, if you decide to stay home, then watch Mass on TV. By the way, anyone who is watching Mass on TV, it does not replace the Sunday obligation. You have to get your butt out of your house, into your car, and into the church for the whole Mass. Just saying. Man, the TV Masses from 2020 were great for that period of time. And it's still great if you want to just watch Mass. Let's say you've already been to Mass and you just want to watch it again. That's awesome. But people have, this is where I say, I think it cleansed the church. Because the people who are not going to Mass and are watching it on TV, are they truly dedicated? Like, spiritual communion is nothing like receiving Jesus actually in your body. Karen. I think priests should preach about honoring Jesus and not talking in church. I agree. Couldn't agree more. And if that's happening at your church, say something. Say, you know what? I come here like 15, 20 minutes before Mass so that I can prepare for Mass, and everyone is talking. Like, go out into the narthex, go, down to the child room or something like that. Like, don't just talk in Mass. And you're at 100% correct. But sometimes we have to tell them. Maybe they're not even around, they're in the sacristy getting ready. They don't hear it. And don't be afraid to say this stuff to your priest, because you're a member of his parish. And you have just as much say as Susie, the person who talks to him about all the stuff all the time. All right. Remember, keep holy the Sabbath day. How many times am I going to screw that up? Have I neglected to set time aside each day for personal prayer to God? I take this in. If you're not starting your day okay, I always say you should start your day with prayer. Hey, right here. Come on. All right, you don't have to pray in the morning, but I'm going to quote Father Rehill that you ought to pray in the morning. Become a morning person, because all of those graces, all of those, inspirations, that awesome feeling that you feel like after prayer, especially when it's great and it's filled with consolation. Sometimes we pray and it's horrible and it's filled with distractions. But God says that we're a good and faithful servant if we do that. If it's not in the morning, which I really want you to pray in the morning, then it is sometime during the day where you cut out everything and you sit with God and you talk to God and you pray, you have the conversation, you pray your rosary. Please pray the rosary every day. Find time for that, no matter what. You're not praying the rosary as, what is his name? I'm picturing his face. You guys will know this when I say this. If you don't pray the rosary, you're not on the team. Dr. Taylor Marshall. Okay, moving on. All right, I got you, hon. Have I committed a sacrilege against the Blessed Sacrament? Thrown him away, brought him home, treated him carelessly, etc.? Have I received any sacrament while in the state of mortal sin? So I didn't know that birth control was a mortal sin. And I was going up and receiving Jesus all the time. Then I found out that birth control was a mortal sin. And I kept receiving Jesus. I would confess it. receive Jesus. It's the same thing, you know, like eventually I had to have the conversation with my husband. Like, look, I got to get off the pill. I've been on it for 20 something years. It's a carcinogen. And finally, but you know, I just remember thinking like, oh, I have asked him so many things to do that to change, you know, but it doesn't matter. It's your soul. Ooh, got more comments. Detraction is the act of reducing someone's worth or reputation through damaging remarks or the revelation of faults. Nice, thank you. I didn't know that. Sometimes the priests are guilty of talking in church. Yes, they are. And you know what? You could just tell them, you know, but you're right. They are in some cases. I've been really blessed with awesome church etiquette in every church that I've gone to. When I've been out of town and go to other churches in other states, that's another thing. So up in Chicago in the Rockford Diocese, awesome. Awesome. Those priests are wonderful. Down here in my parish that I go to in Dixon, wonderful. Just, it's a very reverent group. Lots of people veil. I mean, I remember walking in there because I started veiling after my husband passed away. And I thought, man, am I going to be the only one veiling? And I walk in there and there's like 10 women with veils on their head. It's really cool. Okay. Have I habitually come late to and or leave early from Mass? This is a struggle for me. I try not to get there. You know, like I'm not deliberately doing it, but in some cases I am deliberately leaving like right after the song is over. Now, technically, that's not leaving Mass early. Leaving Mass early would be walking out of the parish or the church with Jesus in your mouth. You know, you go right after confession. But we are supposed to stay for 15 minutes and allow Jesus to rest in us, right? For me, I mean, it's funny because I typically have my dog in my car. She goes with me everywhere. And I'm just like, let's go. I have that beat the traffic mentality in my head. And I do pray in the car, but it's not the same. You know, not the same. All right. That's a TLM diocese, Rockford. That's why they don't talk much in church. I don't know if there's any Latin Mass in Rockford. I have no idea. I've never had one. I've never gone to one. I never knew. Oh, yeah. No. What about Volo? Is that Rockford? That might be Rockford. So if that's the case, I thought Volo was Chicago for some reason, but you know what? St. Bede, which is in Fox Lake, which is right down the street, is in the Rockford Diocese. So that place, Karen, I'm sure you've been there. Oh, frequent there. It's amazing. Oh, amazing. But you're going to get looks if you don't have a veil and you're not dressed in a long skirt. I'm just going to tell you. Okay. Sorry. Have I... Have I shopped? Have I labored, practiced sports, or do business unnecessarily on Sunday or other holy days of obligation? So we're supposed to rest, supposed to be with our family. We're supposed to just, you know, someone's got to cook dinner, right? But like going to the grocery store, which I sometimes do right after Mass. Now, I don't look at that as a chore, but I shouldn't be doing that. I should just go home, you know, reflect on this beautiful Mass that I just left. Ooh, good girl. So let me know, is that something that you guys, okay, so it is in the Chicago Diocese. So I don't know any TLM that's in Rockford. The only one I know is Volo, and that's the only one that me and all the women that I knew all over the place in Rockford went. So anyway, so are you guys doing stuff on Sundays? We got to take that in. Or any other holy day of obligation. You know, I got to check that. because I'm probably not even thinking about that day as doing nothing. Yes, sports. Yes, sports. It says shop, labor, practice sports, or do business unnecessarily on Sunday or other holy days of obligation. So, I mean, I don't know. Are you going to go to hell because you play pickleball on Sunday? Is it something that you do with your husband and you enjoy it? I mean, I kind of got to really pray about these. Just because it's on this list doesn't necessarily, in your case, but it says practice sports or shop or labor. Like if you wait for your lawn to be mowed on Sunday, don't do it. Don't do it. Wait, do it on Saturday. Okay, have I not attended to taking my children to mass? That's a tough one. It's phrased weird. Not attended to taking my children to mass. Now, your children could be old, your children could be young, your grandchildren could be young. My parents didn't take me to mass, but they weren't practicing at all. We went on Christmas and Easter. We were Creasters, and I mean, I've never taken my children, but they're old. They're in their 30s. So I don't know. I mean, they'll always be the children, right? Something to really contemplate. It's easier to get the kids to mass because you can say, well, we have to go to mass first, and then we won't shop, and we won't practice sports, and we won't labor, and then we'll just go home. Anyway, have I not provided proper instruction in the faith to my children? That's a tough one. Take it in, even if your kids are older. Even if you weren't, I mean, here's what I like to say. I mean, I don't mean to be like scrupulous about this, but if you didn't do it when you were on the journey, definitely take it in. But I would still take it in and be like, totally ignored the Catholic Church, never brought my kids in, never taught them any faith, and just get it off your soul, Am I driving with you guys? Oh, have I knowingly eaten meat on a forbidden day or not fasted on a fast day? I have not done it intentionally. I remember it was Ash Wednesday and I'm in Houston traveling for business and I have a big breakfast with bacon in it. And then I go to mass in the mornings. I was going before all my appointments and the guy's like, okay, today's the day of abstinence. Don't eat any meat. I'm like, what? I don't know why it just totally escaped my mind on a Wednesday. But fasting, in the Catholic Church, they give you such easy ways to fast. You don't have to not eat all day. You can have one meal and 2 small snacks that are smaller than the meal. That's pretty much like my day, every day that I eat. So, have I eaten or drunken within 1 hour of receiving communion, other than a medical need? So if you got to take your medicine in the morning, still take your medicine. This goes for coffee. I believe coffee with like cream in it, but black coffee, I don't think it stands for black coffee. Hi, baby. You want another one? Hello. Hello. You want to say hi? Look at your ear. So sometimes actually a lot of the times I look at the clock. This is so bad. And I'm like, oh, I've got 5 minutes. I can down this coffee, because I always have cream in it. But I do keep an eye on that. And I should have just put it down as a sacrifice, united it with Jesus, and been done with the coffee. Okay. Hey. Whoops, I'm skipping one above it. I'll get back to you, Mike. Hey, Mike, I didn't know you were out there. Hi, Bobby. Working for the government seems to bring out that vulgar language, including anger, intolerance, and patience. I'm trying to make make it to retirement, 5 long years. Oh Lord, help me through it. Yeah, it's tough. It is. It's a tough one. I get it. Just keep working on it. It's when you don't work on it is when we're in trouble. Mike, I believe praying the rosary several times a day is so important. Also, I think if a person is a liberal, that in and of itself should be a mortal sin. Oh my gosh, that is hilarious. Well, if you're a conservative, there are some conservatives that, pick and choose, just like the cafeteria Catholic. Well, I'm going to, obey this one, but not this one. Dude, that's flipping hilarious. And by the way, I don't even mean to say the FLIP, like freaking, people know what you're saying there. That is so funny. Oh, you got me on that one, man. Mike, that was great. Okay, 4th commandment, honor your father and mother. Have I, if still under parents' care, obeyed all that my parents reasonably asked of me? I should probably take that I snuck out of my house when I was 14 years old to go with a friend to go over this guy's house, and all we did was sit in his house and watch Friday night videos. You remember when that was out there? I mean, I never confessed that. I disobeyed my parents. When I came back in at 4:30 in the morning, I think my friend threw rocks up at my window at like 1. My mom and dad were sitting in the family room. As I come up the stairs from the basement, I'm like totally busted. Oh, where is it? Oh, okay. Good girl. So I should take that one in. If this is bringing things to your mind, take it in. Even though, it is said that all of your sins are forgiven when you go in. I don't know if have you all had a general confession? Put a comment down. I want to know, and then I'll go take it from there. General confession, yes or no? Have I shown disregard for my parents' wishes, displayed contempt of their demands, and or disdained their very being? This can be the case with people who didn't have a good upbringing, or parents who were abusive, or alcoholics, or something like that. All of us have our own struggles, and one of them might be your parents. Have I neglected the needs of my parents in their old age or in their time of need? Have I harbored hatred for my parents? Have I brought shame on them? If still in school, have I obeyed the reasonable demands of my teachers? This is why everyone should homeschool. Don't get me started on that. Have I disrespected my teachers? If I have children, have I neglected to give my children proper food, clothing, shelter, education, discipline, and care, even after confirmation? Have I provided for the religious education and formation of my children for as long as they are under my care? Have I ensured that my children still under my care regularly frequent the sacraments of penance and Holy Communion? Have I educated my children in a way that corresponds to Catholic religious disciplines? Hi, baby. Have I provided my children with a positive, prudent, and personalized education in the Catholic teaching on human sexuality? Let me reread that. Have I provided my children with a positive, prudent, and personalized education in the Catholic teaching on human sexuality? Have I been to my children a good example of how to live the Catholic faith? Have I prayed with and for my children? This is for everyone. Have I lived in humble obedience to those who legitimately exercise authority over me? Have I broken any just law? Have I supported or voted for a politician whose positions are opposed to the teachings of Christ and the Catholic Church? Mike? Have I failed to pray for the deceased members of my family, the poor souls of purgatory included? I need to take that in. I'm going to go through this. Like, again, I'm going to write it down here. This is from, bulldogcatholic.org. Before my dad and my husband died, I really wasn't praying for my family. The whole purgatory thing, this was not that long ago. The whole purgatory thing escaped me. Every now and then I would, but every single day, by name, I pray for my family. And then I pray for all the souls in purgatory. I pray for all the ones that you have given me. And I put them on my list, all those names. And then for all those souls who have no one to pray for them. So it's really everyone, but I specify groups. And I dedicate mysteries to them in the rosary. Oops. So make sure you include them in your rosary. If you don't, please have every mystery dedicated to someone, to the sick people in your life, to the souls in purgatory, to the living people, to your children, your family, to the priests and the Catholic Church and the religious sisters and nuns. Just try to specify each mystery as a devotion to someone. That will bring the rosary so much closer to you. You do that. Okay, 5th commandment. How do you know if a relative is in purgatory? You don't. We don't know if they're in heaven. We don't know if they're in purgatory. We pray for them anyway. So let's say that Aunt Susie, you don't know if she's in purgatory. You don't know if she's in heaven. You don't know if she's in hell. But you pray for her in purgatory. If she's in hell, the prayers will go to somebody else. If she's in purgatory, it'll apply to her. And if she's in heaven, those prayers will also go to somebody else. So you're not wasting any time or any effort praying for someone who passed and you don't know where they are. All right, the 5th commandment, you shall not murder. What is that? Have I unjustly and intentionally killed a human being? Murder. Have I been guilty through negligence and or lacking of intention of the death of another? Killing. Have I been involved in an abortion, directly or indirectly, through advice, encouragement, providing money, or facilitating it in any other way? Did you drive them there? That type of stuff. Have I seriously considered or attempted suicide? Have I supported, promoted, or encouraged the practice of assisted suicide or mercy killing, euthanasia? Let me talk about that for a minute. It is not easy to watch someone that you love in hospice die from starvation, can't even swallow water anymore, and are drugged up to the gills. But God is the author of death. God is also the author of life. So why should we allow people to suffer? Because I don't know about you, but anytime I suffer, I am darn closer to God. These moments at the end of your life, my dad asking for a priest, you think about death. And maybe you call out to God at one point. Maybe you're an atheist and you're sitting there, gosh, I heard this. Oh, of course, it was an Instagram reel, but I heard this guy that was talking about all these atheists that have been famous throughout the world, and what they said on their deathbed was, I was wrong. There is a God. I'm going to hell. Heaven and hell exist. Like some horrific things. And these are people who were staunch atheists teaching that to other people. So when you're sick and when you're dying, you are going to have that moment. Hopefully, most likely, you're going to have that moment when you're like, whoa. Because then you think, is there a heaven? Is there a hell? What's going on here? Where am I going to go? Okay. Whoop. Yes, big general. Oh, I forgot. I got to look at your general confessions. After 35 years, I had to go back a few times because I kept remembering more sins. Me too, girl. All right, what else do we have up there? Mike, general confession, yes. Laura, general confession, but only, whoops, let me just put that up there. Okay, yes, general confession, but only what I could recall after being away from the church for several years. Yes. Okay. I think I got all you guys. So what is a general confession? All right. A general confession is you sitting down with a pad of paper and going through your entire life. By the way, just call the priest, make an appointment. You don't have to be face to face. You can say, can I meet you at the confessional at 4 o'clock? And they'll go in. You could go in after. And you just write everything down, like that Hello Kitty eraser that you stole in 7th grade from Hallmark, like all those things. The money that you stole from your mom and all of those, I say it like that for myself, all of those sexual things that you did with people, writing down their names. I don't know if you've ever done the soul ties. Like I went to Father James Parker, who's amazing, and I had all the soul ties. Like I should be having masses for the people that I slept with because I damaged their soul. And, I take ownership in that. There were 2 people in it. Some people I didn't even know their names. It's so sad. I'm laughing because it's just utterly pathetic to say that. That was in college. I mean, I could see them in my mind and I would write down the guy with brown hair with a couple of freckles, things like that. But yeah, you write everything down and then you go through. Now, if you forgot things, I think this is that umbrella thing, right? Where God will just confess everything because your intention is truly to tell everything. But if it makes you feel better and you think of something and you want to go in again, do it. I kind of have that mentality. If I think about something, I'm going to be like, I haven't specifically called that out, so I'm going to go do it. All right, where are we? You're such a good girl. Have I deliberately desired to kill an innocent human being? Have I unjustly inflicted bodily harm to another person? Have I unjustly threatened another person with bodily harm? Like, I'm not that kind of anger person. I don't like, I slapped my brother once, but that was because I was like totally drunk and arguing with him. So I should take that in because I inflicted bodily harm on another person. I don't know. Have I verbally or emotionally abused another person? Have I gossiped, slandered, or detracted? There it is, Laura. Have I gossiped, slandered, or detracted, calumniated? I can never say that word. Have I hated another person or wished him or her evil? Have I been prejudiced or justly discriminated against others because of their race, color, nationality, sex, or religion? Have I joined a hate group? Have I purposely provoked another by teasing or nagging? Teasing or nagging. Interesting. Hi, baby. Want to come through here? Yeah. Oh. Are you okay? Hey, where are you going? Come here. Got it. Good girl. Good girl. Oh, hang on. Shoot. All right. Nagging. That's great. Have I recklessly endangered my life or health or that of another by my actions? Driving drunk, driving with a dog in your car. Have I recklessly whoops, that's the same one. Have I driven recklessly or under the influence of alcohol or other drugs? Have I abused alcohol or other drugs? Have I sold or given drugs to others to use for non-therapeutic purposes? Have I used tobacco immoderately? Have I overeaten? Have I encouraged others to sin by giving scandal? Like one of the things I'm like, man, I was the Pied Piper of dragging the sinners in with me. Like back in the day, I was drinking all the time and I would have like offsite meetings so we could all drink. I just, I was in high school as a junior, and I was the first one to smoke cigarettes, and I was the first one to drink, and then everyone else, well, almost everyone else followed. I mean, I was the Pied Piper of leading people into sin. You're a good girl, baby. Have I helped another to commit a mortal sin through advice, driving them somewhere, dressing and or acting immodestly? Have I caused serious injury of another by criminal neglect? Have I indulged in unjust anger? Have I refused to control my temper? Have I been faithful to, quarreled with, or willfully hurt someone? Faithful. Have I been faithful to, quarreled with, or willfully hurting someone? In case you thought I said faithful. Have I been unforgiving of others, especially when mercy or pardon was requested? Have I sought revenge or hoped something bad would happen to someone? Have I delighted to see someone else get hurt or suffer? Ooh, have I treated animals cruelly, causing them to suffer or die needlessly? I just can't even imagine hurting a little baby animal. Yeah. There's to keep telling you all my Instagram reels that I see, but there was a guy that went out into the world and said, you know what, I'm having a petition. I'd like you to sign a petition for puppies who are, in shelters and are needlessly being killed. We want to stop some of these shelters doing that. And people are like, oh, sure, I'll sign it. And then he says, I also have another petition for babies that are being torn apart limb by limb in the womb of women. Will you sign that one? And so many people just walk away. Like this disordered relationship between human beings and pets. Just crazy. Crazy. Okay, hang on. All right. I'm out. Rosary, finish tomorrow. Good night and God bless. God bless you, Bobby. Sarah's being quiet tonight. She is. She's tired. Like, she should be laying down with me, but she's not. Okay, we're moving on. No. Okay, that's the last one on that one. The 6th and the 9th commandments. I don't even want to read these, just based on what I said. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife. Have I neglected to practice and grow in the virtue of chastity? Have I given in to lust, the desire for sexual pleasure unrelated to the spousal love in marriage? Have I used artificial means of birth control, including withdrawal? Have I refused to be open to conception without just cause? And then it references the Catechism 2368, if you guys want to go look at that. Have I participated in immoral techniques such as in vitro fertilization or artificial insemination? So let's talk about this, because that's a big thing that Trump wanted to do was, have more in vitro. And unfortunately, there are many embryos that do not become a human being, get frozen and get tossed away. So let's say I'm trying to have a baby and I've got like 6 or 7 that I've given to a doctor, and the doctor's like, well, these 2 are the most, possible. And then what do you do with the other ones? You discard them, and that's a human life. Have I sterilized my sex organs for contraceptive purposes? Have I deprived my spouse of the marital right without just cause? So if you're married and your husband wants to have the marital act with you, you have to say yes if there is no just cause. I don't think I'm tired or even I have a headache or I don't know. And vice versa. It's crazy to think about that. Next page. Have I claimed my own marital right without concern for my spouse? Okay. She's being so good, so I have to throw it. Have I claimed my own marital right without concern for my spouse? I'm not even sure what that means. Have I claimed my own marital right without concern for my spouse? Do you guys know what that means? That's crazy. Have I deliberately caused male climax outside of normal sexual intercourse? Masturbated, deliberate stimulation of one's own sex organs for sexual pleasure outside of the conjugal act. So yes, BJs are in there too. I remember telling my husband that. I'm like, look, you cannot release, without being inside me. He's like, all right. He didn't have a problem with it. Sorry, that's a little personal. Have I willfully entertained impure thoughts? Have I purchased, viewed, or made use of pornography? Heck yes, that was me. Have I watched or promoted movies and television that involves sex and nudity? See, she's behind me, ready to go. Have I listened to music or jokes that are harmful to purity? Read books that are immoral? My gosh, think of all those Harlequin romances that I used to read. Do you ever read those? Have I committed incest, sexual relations with a relative closer than the third degree or an in-law? Have I committed fornication, sexual relations with someone of the opposite sex when the two are not married to one another or any others? Have I engaged in homosexual activity? Sexual activity with someone of the same sex? Have I committed rape? Have I engaged in a sexual foreplay? Example, petting or excessive touching, reserved for marriage. I mean, I took all the guys that I just made out with, didn't even go farther than that. I'm down here really low. Okay. Have I preyed upon children or youth for my sexual pleasure, pedophilia? Have I engaged in unnatural sexual activities, anything that is not inherently natural to the sex act? Example, sex toys, even in the context of marriage. And I also think it means putting things in places that aren't going to create a baby. Just, embellishing on that one. So have I engaged in prostitution or paid for the service of a prostitute? Have I seduced someone or allowed myself to be seduced? Have I made uninvited and unwelcome sexual advances toward another? Have I purposely dressed immodestly? Okay, we're almost done. The 7th and the 10th commandments. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not covet your neighbor's goods. Have I stolen, taken something that doesn't belong to me against the reasonable will of the owner? Have I envied others on account of their possessions? Have I neglected to live in a spirit of gospel? Have I neglected to live in a spirit of gospel poverty and simplicity? Have I neglected to... Now, that doesn't mean that if you have money that you're a bad person. It's like, what do you do with that money? It's that spiritual poverty and simplicity. But it is true. I mean, the more you go down the faith journey, you look at stuff and you just don't need it. You really do simplify. You're not out there buying things to fill that God hole that's in your heart. You already have him, and all the other stuff just seems excessive, Have I neglected to give generously to others in need? Have I not considered that God has provided me with the money so that I might use it to benefit others, as well as for my own legitimate needs? Have I allowed myself to be conformed to a consumer mentality? Buy, throw away, waste, spend. Have I neglected... Hang on, I distracted to see that you guys have comments, sorry. I've heard now that some women want to make a necklace made of their unused frozen eggs. Oh my gosh. Are you kidding? That is so gross. Wow. Claiming your right sounds like forcing yourself on your spouse. Ah, could be. Nice. I was totally like, I don't know. Okay, where are we here? Have I neglected to practice the corporal works of mercy? Have I deliberately defaced, destroyed, or lost another person's property? Have I cheated on a test, taxes, sports, games, or in business? Have I squandered money in compulsive gambling? Have I made a false claim to an insurance company? Have I paid my employees a living wage or failed to give them a full day's work for a full day's pay? Have I failed to honor my part of a contract? Have I failed to make good on a debt? Have I overcharged someone, especially to take advantage of another's hardship or ignorance? Have I misused natural resources? All right. 8th commandment, you shall not bear. It's okay, baby. Go night-night. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. There, good girl. I'll block that light from you. Have I lied? Have I knowingly and unwillfully deceived another? Have I perjured myself under oath? Have I gossiped? Have I committed detraction, destroying a person's reputation by telling others about his faults for no good reason? Have I committed slander or calumny, telling lies about another person in order to destroy his reputation? Have I committed libel, writing lies about another person in order to destroy his reputation? Libel is in substance different from slander because the written word has a longer life of damage. Been guilty of rash judgment, assuming the worst of another person based on circumstantial evidence? Have I failed to make reparation for a lie I told or for harm done to a person's reputation? Have I failed to speak out in defense of the Catholic Church, the church, or of another person? Have I betrayed? Oh, honey. Okay, we're almost done. Have I betrayed another person's confidence through speech, deed, or in writing? All right, that's it. Those are all of them. Again, go to CatholicBulldog.org. One more. Yes, buying things you don't really need is a problem, especially in the modern era. Yes. Yes. Oh, my little baby. Are you ready to go night-night? We'll go potty and then we'll go night. So this is the dog that you guys don't see. All right, go look at, what is it, bulldogcatholic.com. Sierra looks so sleepy, patiently waiting to go to bed. Yes. Yeah, I mean, seriously, we're usually in bed like 6:30. She lays down, I pray, and this is a lot later than she is. Oh, this poor thing. And this light has got to be killing her. Okay, guys, I'm going to let you go. Find something more with God, soul, mind, and body, bulldogcatholic.org. Go check it out, write the things down, and take it into confession. This has been fun. I love you guys. Talk to you soon. Have a blessed night. Sleep tight.